Hubbard out for the year. They are fortunately deep at tight end. I'll take the Buccaneers to win that game and cover. That's the first Thursday night game that feels like big boy football. Tom Brady, they go to the Bears, just got humbled by the Colts. That wasn't even – that game was a –
Yeah, their defense looked incredible.
Oh, my God. Nick Foles had to throw up the right sideline to Allen Robinson with a couple minutes to go. But it was I had Chicago in that game. It was not even close. Boost your healthy T levels, burn fat. Check it out, mdriveformen.com. mdriveformen.com. Today, Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News, sponsored by Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.
The Texans need a new head coach after firing Bill O'Brien this week.
Yeah.
Tom Brady worked with O'Brien for several years in New England. He didn't agree with the move, saying it didn't make sense to him, especially so early in the season. Dabo Swinney, who won a national championship with Deshaun Watson at Clemson, was asked if he would be interested in reuniting with his former quarterback in Houston, but he wouldn't even entertain the question, saying that is not even anything I want to have to think about. The odds for the next Texans head coach, Eric Bieniemy and Josh McDaniels, are tied at plus 300. According to Fox Bet, Robert Saleh at plus 450. Arthur Smith, offensive coordinator for the Titans.
Whoever gets it, Arthur Smith has done a really good job with Tannehill. He's done a really good job to, whoever gets this is going to have to make a tough decision. No draft picks, no cap space. You've got to move J.J. Watt, who, by the way, once those teams get in that Super Bowl bubble and you get into, right after the trading deadline, the Ravens and the Niners and the Seahawks, and they're like, they make it work. And I think J.J. Watt would give you a draft pick and cap space outside of left tackle and Deshaun Watson. To me, you got to move some people. But
that's going to be a decision for whoever the interim coach is, because none of these guys are going to be there until next year. So you have the main thing, right? You have Deshaun Watson. So you could start there when you start looking at some of these
jobs.
And
a left tackle, and a Pro Bowl level left tackle.
So you have that, and everyone thinks Deshaun Watson is a legitimate franchise quarterback and can become a huge talent and have success in this league. But there's so much else that you have to build. Like, they are now in a rebuilding situation.
But I would argue, if you give me a great quarterback and a great left tackle, then it becomes a good job. All the other stuff, draft picks and cap space, Duke Johnson, let him go. Get another running back. They've got some players that are good. J.J. Watt, Duke Johnson, they're good. But you're going to have to make tough decisions. And J.J. Watt, as good as he is, probably past his prime, but he's good enough for a playoff team to go, okay, we'll pay for 2 years. I think, and again, J.J. Watt also deserves the right to not play for a team in chaos and a rebuild. He deserves the right to play for a Patriots or a Ravens.
I don't think I could see Dabo Swinney taking this job, though.
Dabo?
Yeah.
I think he's a college coach. And he's a great college coach. I mean, Nick Saban's a college coach. He could potentially work in the NFL, but the way, these college guys that like to kind of control everything.
But, like, in this climate, making the jump from college to the NFL, you want to go to kind of a stable situation. Like Joe Klatt was just talking about how there's not going to be that much movement at the coaching position in college right now. If you have a long-term deal in college, these next couple years might not be the time to jump to the NFL and be in a situation where, the NFL is far less forgiving than college when it comes to the job stability. So Josh Allen has been great so far this season, leading the Bills to 4-0, their first 4-0 start since 2008, and Brett Favre, sorry, these flies are driving me crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Brett Favre is already seeing Allen as the next superstar in the AFC East.
Josh Allen will be the new Tom Brady. At some point, he will be running the division. That kid is a tremendous talent. He can sling it. He can move. For a big guy, he can really move. But more than anything, what we're seeing now is he's taking it to the next level.
He does look great, but the AFC East is going to be very different over the next couple years. Now, obviously, we expected things to be much better for the Jets this year than they are going, but the Dolphins have Tua, which we're going to see within the next couple weeks.
All I know is this. I look at the AFC right now. CBS has the AFC. You're going to get for the next 10 years Patrick, Lamar, Josh, Joe Burrow, and if Justin Gilbert is as good as I think, or Justin Herbert. What did I say,
Gilbert?
Justin Herbert. I look at the AFC right now. Man, some of these quarterbacks, and they're Deshaun Watson, you are set. That's like Manning, Brady, Big Ben 18 years ago. Like the AFC has got some, because these teams have been bad. The bottom of the AFC has been worse than the bottom of the NFC last 6 years. So they get all these quarterbacks, and about 2 out of 3 are hitting.
And we don't know what we're going to see with Tua.
That's right.
And I think Cam Newton just showed the value that he has with the Patriots, and he's not old.
No, he's not. I have some thoughts after this. I think Cam is going to get himself an extension here.
And that's no knock on Josh Allen. He's been incredible, and that's the Bills' division right now to lose. But I don't know that we'll ever see the dominance that we had with the Patriots.
Oh God, no!
Again.
Oh God, no!
In that division,
no.
Not that they were not amazing. No one's taking away what they did, but being in that division,
they had 2 dynasties, concurrent dynasties. It doesn't work that way.
Speaking of that division, Sam Darnold injured his shoulder in last Thursday's loss to the Broncos. It looked like he was going to be out for the season the way it was looking, but he did come back in. He will miss this week's game against the Cardinals, and he is considered week to week going forward. And Joe Flacco will get the start in his place. Yeah, that is.
You shouldn't be able. I don't think you should be able to fling a quarterback like that. I honestly don't.
Well, they're pretty much as protected as they can be, but he really doesn't need to take that. He doesn't just go down in that spot. Like he tried to stay up a lot longer than he did, which is why he ended up getting thrown down like that. But and it's obviously not his fault he got injured, but this is not a good situation for the Jets. There are 0-6 when Darnold doesn't start. We know how it went last year when he was out. Flacco hasn't made his last start for the Broncos since October 27th when he suffered his neck injury, and he didn't play for the remainder of the season. So bleak for the Jets going forward.
There you go, Joy, with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
Projected based on schedules, momentum, current record, what the draft's going to look like coming up based on division toughness and all this stuff. Giants will draft first, Jets will draft second, Jacksonville will draft third, and Washington football team will draft fourth. 2 of the 4 are taking a quarterback. 3 of the 4 is probably likely. 4 of 4 is possible. And that tells me Cam Newton's getting an extension. Because next year, Cam's going to be 31 and does have a history of injuries. I don't think the market's going to be massive. Secondly, there's just not that many teams that need a quarterback. We're filling all of them. So I don't think it's going to be a robust, dynamic market for him. Number 2 is, did you see Stidham and Hoyer on Monday night? Belichick's not rolling with that nonsense. And number 3 is, Cam's been good, and it works. And they're really only a deep threat away from being, to me, a nightmare for Kansas City and Baltimore. So when I look at that, if you start looking at the draft order, and you've got Jacksonville, Dwayne Haskins move, they're taking one. Jacksonville is going to take a star over Gardner Minshew. I think the Giants would move off Jones. The Jets, one of those 2 will move off their quarterback. There's your 3 top quarterbacks. So I don't think New England could trade up with the Chargers or an Atlanta or a Detroit and get to like 6 or 7 and, cross your fingers that the Giants and the Jets keep their quarterback. But nobody thought the Giants and Jets would be this bad. We knew the Giants would be a rebuild. But being this bad and the pressure in New York and the TV ratings in New York being like all-time lows in New York for the NFL, it feels like to me Cam is not a renter. He's not a rental. I think he's going to get a contract extension because I don't think New England can get up there. And frankly, it's working. I mean, I said this. If Cam was playing Monday against the Chiefs, that game would have looked different. They didn't even get officiating breaks. So I think Cam and Belichick, it's different, but I think they're a deep threat, a vertical threat from being a nightmare. If you asked Andy Reid today, who do you don't want to play? He'll play Baltimore. They've seen that 3 times. They don't want to play Cam in New England. They got no interest playing Cam in New England again, especially when you beat New England earlier. Belichick rarely loses twice in one season to the same team. All right, Tristan Thompson, looks like we're going to have ourselves an NBA champion again in Los Angeles, and again it's LeBron James. Tristan Thompson, an NBAer for almost a decade and good friends with LeBron, is going to be joining us next. When you want a 12-ounce ribeye, do you buy the entire cow? Of course not. If you need a seat on an airplane, you don't need to buy the row, so then why are you paying for unlimited data for your cell phone when you're only using 2 gigs of data? That's how big carriers hook you, like AT&T and Verizon T-Mobile. Charge you obscenely monthly fees for data you'll never need, perks you'll never use. That is why you should switch to Pure Talk USA. Pure Talk only charges you for the data you need. They're on the exact same towers, but at half the cost. Unlimited talk, unlimited text, 2 gigs of data. $20 a month, that's it. So right now, get unlimited talk, unlimited text, 2 gigs of data, $20 a month. From your cell phone right now, dial pound 250, dial pound 250 and say Colin Cowherd. And that will also save you 50% in your first month. Grab your phone, pound 250, say Colin Cowherd. You'll also have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message from Pure Talk USA.